Hello, I'm going to show you how to work with the Artesanal Mocap. It's not an automated solution. It's not simple, but it's not that difficult to do. So to start, what usually you have to do, you can grab any blend file that I share. You will get something that's already animated. It's going to ask you about the execution of the Python script. This script is to create rig controllers. So you just have to allow execution. This shows after you allow the execution of that script. Now we are going to start a new animation. You can go to the pose mode, select everything. You can press A to select everything. You see all those keyframes. It means that for some things I added keyframes, so you have to remove it so you can create your entire new animation. You go press A again to select everything, press X to delete the keyframes. So now you don't have the animation on the Rigify armature and controllers. Now you're good to go out of the pose mode. You can hide the Artesanal Mocap armature. So let me hide it. You have to clean animation on this tracking objects. You have those selected. You go down here, press A to select everything, press X to delete keyframes. They are gone. You have this motion path here. You can go here, delete all paths, so it won't show. What I like to do also is to press Alt G to move everything to the origin, so we can start from scratch. Another thing that I suggest you to do is to add shortcuts for the motion path. For example, the calculate, you can right click on it and add to quick favorites. You can right click on update and add to quick favorites. In my case, I already have them added, so the option that it shows is to remove. And also this X that you can right click and add to your quick favorites. What is the quick favorites, in case you don't know? Usually it's the letter Q. You press it and it is going to show those options that you added, and they are nice to have. So the third thing you have to do is to replace the videos. You can do that selecting the object inside the video collection and go to the data tab down below here, and you select the new video. This one is the front one, and you have to press this button so it can get the full length of the video. We see it's 94 frames, so let's put 94 frames here, and you can see the front video has all those 94 frames. Next, let's get the right one and get the video footage for that same video, which is walk 3, and press the button to extend it to the end of the animation. You see that they are synced. Okay, now is where we start to work on it. How do you do? Here is a quick overview. Focus on the tracking collection, this collection. First, working on the side view for the Y and Z axis. Then work on the front view only on the X axis. Then focus on the armature object. Unhide the armature and adjust the pelvis location by moving the pelvis object like this. Go to the pose mode, adjust the torso controller in a way that it makes sense with the rotation of the footage. After adjusting the torso controller, you should adjust the chest controller to match also the rotations for the shoulder. After adjusting the torso and the chest object, you should go back to object mode and adjust the foot in a way that makes sense and it don't get stretched. If necessary, if you have a rotation that doesn't match the footage, you can go to the pose mode and adjust the thigh controller to change its rotation. Adjust the hands objects where the armature makes sense with what is showing on the video footage. After adjusting the objects, if necessary, go to the armature in pose mode and adjust the upper arm controller to adjust the rotation of the arm to match with what you see on the footage. That's it. Now let's go to the real detail where I do everything step by step. One important thing that I would like to say is you won't be able to match both views perfectly, so you have to choose the best one for you. Usually the best one is the side view because it's easier to track and to match everything. But sometimes, usually for the arms, maybe using the front view is the best. So let's start. I'm gonna start with the left foot. Yeah, one important thing, you select the left foot. Let's go to the start. You can press shift left arrow to go to the start, and you press this button. It's an auto keyframe. I like to put the key set to available. It means that it's only going to create keyframes on existing things. Like I have only location, it's gonna create automatically the keyframes only for location. If I have location and rotation, it's gonna create for location and rotation, stuff like that. One more thing to make it easy for we to navigate through the animation, you have to match parts of the video at specific frames, at important frames. You can move the frames grabbing this blue thing here. It's not so quick. You can move with the arrow, you can move it back, you move it to the front. You can use there's another way that I found more interesting, but to do that you have to enable an extension. It's called Grease Pencil Tools. You enable install this Grease Pencil Tools. What it does, you can press Alt and I think it's a middle click. I'm using Wacom tablet, so I'm not sure. It's a middle click. Press Alt and middle click and you can navigate through the timeline. So it makes the workflow much easier to do. Having that said, let's go to the beginning and selecting the foot left. I like to start from the side view. I can grab it and I like to use the ankle as the spot to track. So let's use my Alt, middle click and see where it starts changing. Let me try. I'm gonna put on this frame and let me get this frame in the middle of the movement. I can get this frame. You can see that there are some zoom happening, but we can deal with that later if necessary. Let's keep moving and track here, and we end here. What I like to do, I did this animation and you see that it follows some parts of it doesn't follow. So what I like to do is I have that motion paths added to my quick selection, so I can press Q and press calculate. I like to use the around frame and calculate so we can see the path that it's going to make, and I can try to match it better to follow that point. And you see that it automatically updates the motion path. This part is just a guess game. We can't be sure of where it is, but here we can see. Oh, okay, so for me the movement seems fine. So what I'm gonna do for the front view, and as we used the side view, we animated the y-axis and the z-axis. On the front view we have to animate only the x-axis. So let me go to the start, shift left to the first frame, and then move only the X. You can see that it doesn't match perfectly, but that's fine. And we can scrabble through the animation, the video. I can see that the foot goes straight to this part. So before it changes, I add a keyframe. Let me see, I added a keyframe here. Now I see that the maximum movement that it does, it's on this part. So I animate, and it goes totally to this part. So I keep moving, and before changing, I'll just move a little bit to add a new keyframe, and it finishes here. Now let's take a look. We already have our motion path enabled. Let's scrabble to see if the movement seems fine. Yeah, for me, I just have to match the x-axis, so only the x have to make sense here. Okay, so the left foot is done. Now I'm gonna do the rest. Go to the start, and now I'm gonna match the right foot. Let me make this smaller. Let me calculate for this right around frame. Let's scrub. You can move to a previous frame by pressing up and down arrow. This feet animation don't have to be perfect because you have some zoom that's going to mess a little bit. Okay, let's do the front view. Go to the start again and match the right foot. Let's scrabble this movement only on the x-axis. Before it moves, let's create a new keyframe and change here. That's roughly around this part, probably. Let me see from the start. About the x-axis, it seems to be fine. So let's go to, I like to go to the pelvis. The pelvis usually, I think, is the worst part because the pelvis is a big part of the body, and you can select almost any place to track. The thing is, choose a place that you can easily track. In this video, for me, the easiest part is this button near her hip. What I'm gonna do is I'll go to the beginning of the animation, I always forget that, and move the pelvis object near this button, on top of this button, because it's easier for me to track. And later we fix the position of the armature. I'm gonna show you that later. And let's track. See, there's a change in movement. Let's put here. You basically try to search the maximum and minimum movement, a keyframe between those, a keyframe at them, the tops and the minimum. Here, sometimes it's hard to find. And probably this is messed up because of the zoom. We'll try to deal with that later. You see, this one was quite... Oh, let's calculate the path to create something that we can follow. We go to the start and review the animation. You see that we can match it a little bit. It goes quickly down. Let's move it, and that's okay here. Here it's not. We add a keyframe here, so we do the arc, and that's okay. Let's go to the start once more, and now work on the front view, just on the x-axis. Scrabble through. This one won't be that difficult, won't have too much movement, so I can add a little bit of movement here to the side, a little bit more, a little bit here, and you see now it goes out of the view. I think I won't change here because the zoom is messing up. I'm gonna add it anyway. Okay, so let me add a new animation here to match the button. To the button, I think I did something wrong. Yeah, I forgot again that I have to work only on the x-axis, so I Control Z'd it. Yeah, that's always happen. Okay, just match the x-axis. Go back, see that this part needs to match. You can add this little movement. Just the x-axis. Okay, seems fine to me. Now let's go to the left hand. Oh yeah, we can hide the objects that we already done. Sometimes it's easier. Let's go to the start and let's focus on the left arm. Well, on the arm, no, the hands. I like to use the pose as the reference, so that's why I'm aiming here. I think it's easier to track. So let's search where it changes the movement, and later we fix those arcs and keep tracking, and here it ends. Now let's add the object path around frame. Okay, let's go to the beginning and let me add a keyframe here. Now it's following well. Let's add one here, and that's fine. Let's add one here. Move it here and here, and it seems fine for me. The hand seems to be following the motion track. Okay, let's go to the front view. I hope I don't forget, we just have to animate the y-axis. Why no, the x-axis. Let's move, and the last frame, I think it ends here. Let's check the movement only on the x-axis for the front view. And okay, let's go to the right hand, go to the start, move it. This one is a little tricky because the body will be in front of, so we have to use our imagination and the front view to guess where it is going to be. Let me move here, here. I guess it's up here, now here, back down here, up here, and oh, it's done. Okay, let's add the motion path around frame. Go to the start. Let's follow the movement, see it matches well. Let me put it here. It's a quick movement, probably we didn't need those keyframes, but anyway. Okay, seems fine for me. Let's go to the front view, start of the animation. Let's try to match. Just add a tiny movement just to look more interesting. I don't know. Here the big movement and ends. Let me go to the last frame. Ends here. Let's check from the start. You can see not perfect, but moving well. Let me adjust this one. Yeah, I think it's fine. And I just have the head one, but I'm not going to make this one. Okay, now we tracked all the foot, all the feet, and the pelvis. We can enable the armature here, so you can see how it's behaving, and you see that it's a little bit tilted. I think I didn't clear correctly all the stuff because it's tilted. Strange. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. You have to select everything. You have to go down here like we did on the start. Clear everything, press A. You see that there is no keyframes here, but I forgot to press Alt R to reset the rotations. And Alt G, but usually you don't move. G for movement, you clear the movement. Now it's back to default position. Using Alt G, Alt A, Alt R, Alt G. It is going to reset. So now it makes more sense. Let's view the animation. You can see from the side view. The main problem that I see is that the foot, they are too stretched. So it's causing some problems. What we can do right from the start, before making any changes on the poses, on the controllers of the armature, we can go back to object mode and let's go for the start and press S to scale the armature in a way that makes sense. Usually I try to search the difference between the pelvis and the shoulders, this line here. Actually it seems to be fine. We can adjust it later on the frame 1 if needed. Next what I like to do is, you can see that the pelvis, it's following the placement that I used the button in front of her waist. And actually this part of the pelvis should be around here. What I do is, let's go back to the object mode, let's select the pelvis, let's show the pelvis, and here we can see the graph view. What I like to do is, I already have my movements, my positions here, and I'm gonna change a little bit of each, mostly the Z and the Y axis, all of the keyframes at the same time. For example, let me change first the Z location. I can double click the Z location here. You see that it selects every keyframe for the Z axis. We can press G and Y, so we constrain only top and down on the graph editor, and we can try to match on the view to be the best position that makes sense for the pelvis of the object to match the rig to the footage. I changed the Z location, now I'm going to change the Y location. I double click the Y location so everything is selected, and the same way I'm going to press G and Y to constrain only on the up and down movement, so I can change all the keyframes at the same time. And we can press Shift to make it thinner movement, and I can try to match here. At this place it makes sense for me. You see that it looks like the character Armature for the video, and that's the aim. And you can see that the knees makes a little more sense, but you can see now this part we are having some flexing problems, or we are also having some positional problems. What we can do at this part, we're gonna try the most important thing is probably the pelvis. First you fix the pelvis, then the legs, and then the arms. That's what I found the most important order to work. So, but we have some problems on the pelvis. Now let's go keyframe by keyframe where the animation gets strange. It looks fine until we start to get this point. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tweak it manually, and using the arrow for fine tuning, I'm gonna use to match, and you can see that it follows. And I have this keyframe, I'm gonna reposition to the middle of the pelvis, and then we deal with the rotation of the pelvis. Let me go forward, and I'm gonna fix this last keyframe. We can go to the last keyframe using up and down arrow. Let me fix here. Okay, looks fine to me. Let's review everything. Seems fine. What I'm gonna do, since the pelvis is the most important in my opinion, we're gonna go to the what else can we do for the pelvis. For the location, I think it's basically done. We can check the front view to see if it makes sense, and yeah, seems fine, most of it. I would just do some changes. Let me see. Starting from this frame 75, it gets a little bit strange. It should be, let me find the keyframe up and down to navigate through the keyframes. This keyframe seems fine, this one doesn't. So let's grab it and push it to the middle. Let's see the next keyframe, same thing. And the last keyframe, same thing. So it makes more sense. And last one, yeah, I think it's okay. Great. So you can see that it matches on this one. It's going away a little bit. Let me fix this one too. Oh, we got this guy here. Let me get this keyframe and delete it. Let me get this one and delete it too. This one, go away. I got some odd movement. I'm gonna delete this one too. Let me go to this keyframe and adjust it so you can see the arc. Makes more sense. Okay, I think we're done for the pelvis. Using the location, we can deal with the rotation that happens on this. Basically, this part of the animation starts on frame 67. So let's go to the armature, pose, and let's take a look on the main movement. Okay, the rotation of the pelvis basically starts here. We can select this box that represents the whole pelvis. We can press on Blender 4.3. We can press the letter K and you select which keyframe. We just need the rotation, so that's what I'm gonna add. We added the keyframe, so now I'm gonna rotate it in a way that makes sense for the position of the pelvis. I would just move back a little bit, and I think the main part is fine. Okay, now we deal with the main part of the pelvis. Let's take a look on the feet to see if it makes sense. You see that we got some feet stretching here. Let's go back. The thing is, sometimes you have to go back and forth between the armature and the objects to fix stuff. Let me take a look on the left foot. Okay, another thing that we notice and that is important is to avoid the feet sliding. Something I do to avoid this is just let me clear first the object's path. Let me create one just for this left. It's be better to hide the others. Let me have only the left foot. Calculate around frame. Okay. You can see that we shouldn't go past the floor. So what I like to do is I choose a frame that I can understand that it's on the floor. For example, the first one. I can select this first one and I can press N on the graph editor to see this menu. I can get its value. I can Ctrl C to copy the value, and I can move up and down to find the keyframes. I'm just focusing on the keyframes of the Z location. I'm gonna hide the other ones. You can see, for example, this one has 0.7, this one has 1. Yeah, it's higher, so it makes sense. And then here it would be touching the floor, so we can put the same 0.7, this one too, this one 0.7, just Ctrl V to paste. Select the frames that it should be on the floor. This one should be on the floor too, and like this you guarantee that it's not penetrating the floor. Let's do the same thing for the other feet. It actually should be the same as the left. It's 0.79. Let me copy. Let's go to the right. Here it's on the floor. Let me paste it. Here it should be on the floor too. I'll select this keyframe, paste it. It still should be on the floor, paste. Still should be on the floor, paste. You see that probably the messing up with the position of the z-axis is because of the zoom. No problem, we fix it. And here it should be on the floor too, paste it. Also on the floor, paste it. So it probably makes more sense, and you can see we don't have that problem so evident on the knees. A little bit sometimes, but we can adjust it. with the pelvis position. So let's do this. Go to the pelvis. Let's find where it's going straight. For example, this part is going straight. I'm gonna move it a little bit down so the knees doesn't get straight. And let's check. I'm gonna remove this keyframe because it's not making much sense. Here you can see on the 3D view it's getting a little bit weird, probably because of the zoom, so I would put them both a little bit up. Makes more sense to me. You can see on the Armature looks a little bit better. That's the problem when you have some zoom on the footage. You have to analyze the Armature later to see what makes more sense. Okay, so I consider the pelvis and the feet basically done. Let's go to the hands. We are almost there. Let's go to the item. On the item menu you can unselect the tweak, the torso, the arm, okay, leg, okay, so you can see easily how the bones are positioned. Well, I see a little bit of problem on the hands. They are straight. It shouldn't be. This you have problem on the bones for both arms. There's some part that both are straight, so I'm gonna take a look first on the left hand. I have to go out to object mode. Let me go to the left hand, and I'm gonna watch to the moments that the arm becomes straight. Right from here it's already straight, so I'm gonna put it up a little bit. You see that it starts flexing, so that's enough for me. Let's still flex it. Okay, you see that it's going on a strained position. We'll deal with that later. We just have to be sure that it's not straight, and it is here, so I have to fix the X location. I have a keyframe for the X here, so that's where I'm gonna tweak it. Seems fine. This other one seems too much too, so I update it. And this other one, let me grab through here. GUI. See that it's a little bit better. Also this one. By this point, I think we can deal with the front part. Let me grab this. Probably the Z. Oh man, that one's difficult. Okay. Starts a little bit better. For the right hand. It's not straight. It's not straight, that's fine. I see that I have two keyframes here. Let me remove one. And this part seems to be a little bit problematic. What we can do, we can move it a little bit up, also to match the other hand. Let me grab it from this keyframe and put it up. Okay, so this part is also problematic. No, it isn't. This part is. I'm gonna let me remove this keyframe because I have a lot of keyframe here. The arm is a little bit straight. Don't like that. Let me fix on the X location. I move it a little bit down, and it makes more sense in relation to the other hand. Okay, and it's straight again because of probably the Z location. Let me grab you a little bit down, and it's too much. Let me move a little bit to the X too, and you see it start flexing here. So probably that's enough. Let me view again. See if I have straight arms. No, it seems to be fine. But you see that the position. Now let's go back to the armature. You can see that we should fix the orientation of the spine. It's not the way it's supposed to be. So it's gonna affect the hands. Let's fix that first. It's needed to get a proper animation. So let me turn on the torso. Just the torso. That's fine. Let me hide it again. Okay, that's the complicated part, at least in my opinion. How are we going to match? We can rotate this main box. If we rotate this controller here, we are going to move only in relation to the legs and things like that. But we need to move also this upper part. That's the main important part now, to move the shoulders to match with the footage. So for example here I should, let me add keyframe for rotation. I think I already had, but we have the shoulders towards this part. So we rotate here so it matches the spine. We deal with the upper part later. So let's rotate it to match the spine. A little bit here, a little bit here. Let me see if it's local. Let me put global. It makes more sense for me now. I think it should be rotated a little bit so we can match here. Yeah, it should be rotated a little bit to this side too. Rotate it back again. And now it's the main rotation that we did before. Now let's align the spine. Spine is aligned. Let's use this keyframe to try to align the spine to this keyframe here. This one too. And okay, this one seems fine from that view, but from this view it doesn't. Let's align here. Let's see how the spine is moving. Okay, seems fine for me. Let's align the rotation around the axis first. It will result better animation. Okay, let's go. So you can see it is a little bit. Let me put it to local view. It doesn't make much difference. Okay, let me check it. From this perspective, it's better to move on the Z axis. Let me rotate a little bit to match the rotation and change it to align this rotation. You see that it rotates a lot. It gets a little bit tricky to see things here, but let's try. Still rotated, and now to the other side. Yeah, okay. We deal with the Z rotation now. Let's deal with the Y rotation. Sorry for that. It's messy, but as soon as you get used to it, will be less problematic. So using the reference in the back, try to match the movement of the bones to match. You won't be able to match it perfectly with the footage, but try to follow the same pose. Let's go to the next. We can rotate the y-axis. Let me see. This is good to move to. Rotate this. I feel that the rotation here should be bigger, matching a little bit from the front view. Let me get it bigger to see the Y movement. Sometimes it's better to animate here. We're just moving the Y. Let me put it a little bit down here. This one, let me select it and change it a little bit. You see that it becomes a little bit less confusing. And Let me grab it a little bit too. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's view the animation. Let me put all the frames here. Okay, let's see. The main parts, the pelvis, the shoulder, for me it looks fine. We just need to fix that movement for the arms rotation. That is still somewhat strange. And basically it would be the final part. Let me go back to the left arm. I like to start from the left one because I'm a left arm person. Okay, so see the movement here, a little bit strange. Let me keyframe it here. I can press. Since I already have the rotation, I can press the I, and let me here. I can rotate it to match, and it looks. Let me hide the torso. Okay. It's a little bit strange here. Let me go back a little bit to add a keyframe here. So in this part I can move a little bit. Let's match a little bit better with the side view. I can put it down a little bit. Maybe put it a little bit up. Trying to match, seeing which view makes more sense. Okay, I think it's fine. And now to the right arm. Here, let me put a little bit low, much lower, lower. Now, another problem happened. It's straight again. Oh damn! Let me go to the right hand. What can I do to fix this? Let me take a look here. Probably on the x-axis will be better to solve it. So here it's not flexed. Here it is for a brief moment of time. Probably should go back a little bit. Let me see this Y movement. Let me put a little bit up. Now it's not straight anymore. Great. Let's go back to the pose. Okay, the position here, I can lift it up a little bit. And here could put it down. I'm trying to follow from the side to see if it makes a little bit of sense. Okay, now let me see the 3D view. Let me hide the videos. Trying to see the arms movement. Yeah, it's quite difficult to see. Yeah, it doesn't seem good. The movement, the rotation of this part doesn't look well to me. Let me turn on the videos again. So this hand, it should be up. Trying to get a better movement, a better view from the arm. It seems a little bit better. Okay, so let me go to the object mode. Let me clear the object's path. I'm gonna hide the tracking, go to the pose mode and hide all these rig layers. Now we can see the animation. And that's basically it. You see that the arm movement was the most tricky. This right arm movement was the trickiest because also it was the one that is most hidden and it's a difficult movement, but you can get the gist of it with the experience, with the training, doing much more. The legs usually is the worst part. For me it looks good, very good. And that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you can show the things you create, it would be awesome. Thank you a lot. Bye bye.